Yo, what's up? My name is Kode Ransom, and this is Kode Ransom powered by Cachet. And today I'm gonna tell y'all basically how we can get reparations around this mug. We ain't gonna get them. I'm just playing. When we thinking about reparations, man, like here in the U.S., time and time again, like the U.S. has believed in reparations. We paid them, you know what I mean? So you say reparations around the wrong person, they start thinking, oh, I gotta give up everything I got and give it to you. Yeah, you're supposed to. But if you don't want to do all that, we could talk about just how the U.S. has believed in reparations. We paid them before. We look at, World War II? The Chinese, we had concentration camps here in the U.S. The Chinese people were put in those concentration camps. I think it was like 80,000 people. And then when they were released from those concentration camps, the U.S. paid them reparations for the damage in their neighborhoods and just that economic, really stifling of the economic development. So we obviously believe in it. We paid reparations to Jewish people for the Holocaust, and last time I checked, wasn't no Germany over here. So did those people go through something horrific? Yes, but they went through something horrific outside of our borders, and we took care of them. When it comes to black people, the conditions black people are put into, we don't get that. The rules keep changing, the goalpost keeps moving. Every time we want to break loose and we want to get that foot off our neck and build something, we get told we can't, or the rules have changed. So it's almost like I was also reading around the time that enslaved people were not supposed to be able to read, yet they were given Bibles. But the Bibles they were given would say, it's New Testament. So it's things like turn the other cheek and stuff like that. Whereas the Bible they were using when they conquered, you look at King Alfred and just the Crusades in general, this was an eye for an eye. So it's like you're telling me that if I want to do it, I have to do it by conversation and being passive. But America didn't become America by people just saying, hey, please just let me have a little bit. It was, they wanted to break away from England, so they went to war with England. If you even mention going to war with the US, well, now you're not patriotic. And it's like everything was built by black people. We push the culture here. We do everything here. Even the conversation I'm having, like in certain rooms with even people I might consider to be my friends that might be white, it's uncomfortable. But because it's uncomfortable, they like, oh, well, let's just not have that conversation. But they don't really get, like, it's uncomfortable walking into a room and feeling like, you know what, these people got a 400-year head start on me, and then I'm expected to be just as good as them, but really better. If you're not an extraordinary black person, you don't make it in the room. So there was like a comedian, can't remember which one it was, but they was talking about how he bought a house in this real prominent neighborhood, and he was saying like Michael Jordan got a house on that block, Oprah got a house on that block, and then he had one. And he was like, and one of my neighbors, he was like, I went and talked to my neighbor and was like, yeah, so what you do for a living? He was like, I'm thinking it's gonna be some prominent athlete. He was like, dude just said he was born. He was a trust fund kid, so he was like, so Michael Jordan, Oprah Winfrey, these are the top of their class, the top of their professions, and they live in a neighborhood with a person who just, two people had unprotected sex and bam, look at me, I'm wealthy. You know what I'm saying? So it's like things like that happen throughout the US. And then, I'm one of those people, like I like to joke and play about these things just to kind of break the ice on them, because as a person who loves history, that digs into history, I really be getting pissed off to where some days it's like, man, I don't even want to go in a room full of white people that's just happy, or as a human, I find myself getting mad that white people are so happy. And then at first I used to be like, well, nah, that's messed up on my part, until I started really dissecting, like, why am I really upset? And it's the fact that I gotta wake up and think about so many other things before I'm happy. When I go, living here in Tulsa, I can't go too far east, because once I get into like Rogers County, it's like, I don't got no business in Rogers County, or when I hear black people say, well, I was the first black person to do blank. I'm like, when the last time I heard first white person to do something? You know what I mean? Like, they've done all the first they can do, and we're still trying to figure that out. Like, so being in a coffee shop, I was talking to this lady earlier today. She was pretty cool. I forgot her name though. But she was telling me her cousin was the first black woman to graduate pharmacy school at OU. And she was like, so I'm like, oh yeah, this lady got to be 100. She was like, nah, she like 55. So I'm like, so 25, 30 years ago, the first black person to graduate from pharmacy school at OU just graduated. You know what I'm saying? Or you watching an OU football game and they coming out on this covered wagon and everybody just roaring and yelling and screaming and Boomer Sooner. And it's like, I'm watching Native American people say it, I'm watching black people, white people, and I'm like, man, they reenacting the land run that stole land from Native people and black people. So at the Trail of Tears, we just gonna do math. So I went to Tulsa Public Schools, my math could be off, but I'm pretty sure it's right. Trail of Tears goes from 1831 to 1877. And then in 1889 is when the land run starts. So that's 12-year difference, right? If I ain't right, if the math is mathing, that's 12 years. So in 12 years, you're telling me the 5 civilized tribes were moved here. They brought over 100,000 black people with them because they enslaved black people too, which we gonna talk about for sure. So we've settled in, we made our own black towns. Native Americans had their reservations. We all living here. And then 1889, I think it was like April something, like April 20th. The US government like, yeah, white folks can do a land run. You can just go into Oklahoma and stake claim on land. So as goofy as it sound, they Columbused Oklahoma. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I would have been one of the 5 civilized tribes, you mean to tell me I'm all the way on the East Coast of the United States, I didn't walk my tail all the way to Tulsa, Oklahoma. Like, I wouldn't do it on the raggedy roads we got today. So on these dirt roads and grass and Tornado Alley, all these things, we done walked all the way over here just to be able to settle here for 12 years and then y'all coming too. And then when you came because it was oil territory. Like this place had black gold. And so this black gold brought you here. You sent me here because you didn't think I could survive here. You didn't think I could build here. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, wait a minute. They got something over there. We need to figure out how to get that. And so like, I can only imagine like having this land and thinking like, okay, we're free from the oppression and all of that. And then some white dude show up and just put a stamp in your yard like, this is mine. It's like black people have done so much over here to where, I'm a little different just because I do have African family, but we don't have anywhere we can really call home. Like my grandpa used to say, like, black people are only made in America. Like, they don't exist anywhere else. If you go to South America, those black people are called Afro-Latino. If you go to Africa, we're Africans. But when we get over here, we black. Like, we don't have a culture. You don't know what tribe you come from. So we create America's culture. Just studying, like, the treatment of black people, it also had me a little nervous because it's like, if we get reparations, white people gotta get some. That's the only way they agree to stuff like that, because they have to be able to benefit. So one of the benefits they had, giving the Asians reparations was they redlined them where they couldn't build their own business districts, so they couldn't build in white neighborhoods. So they come and put, gas stations and restaurants in black neighborhoods. Even though like, it was always tension between black and Asians, back then. So it's like, I'm gonna be in your neighborhood, I'm gonna take y'all money, and then I'm gonna take that outside of your neighborhood, which hurts your economy. So it was like killing 2 birds with 1 stone. You can keep the Asians from building in white neighborhoods, but you can also hurt the black neighborhood. So when I look at like bills, laws, it seemed like everything in the US is geared towards hurting black people. Like if it hurt us, they cool with it. It don't gotta hurt nobody else. Like here in Tulsa, we're naturally segregated. If you wanted to, if you're a nitty baby, you probably black. If you live on the north side, if you live out east, you're gonna be Hispanic or Asian. If you live out south, you're gonna be white. If you live midtown, you're gonna be wealthy white, so that's like off-white. And then if you live out west, it's like lower income, there's some cool houses, and then methamphetamines. That's all we got on the west side. For us to be that segregated, people talk about New York being that way in the 5 boroughs. Like, we got these little raggedy spots of town, right? All of those stereotypes you hear when they talk about black people and race, like, oh, well, when you cross the tracks or the other side of the highway, like, we really got those down here. And when you think about it, it's like 100-something years ago, right outside of the coffee shop, the National Guard was looking across the tracks, watching black people get killed, watching their properties get burned. They even lent their guns to the, rioters, like, here, y'all go shoot some folk. And it's like, if that would have happened to anybody else, it wouldn't have took 102, 103 years to do anything. Things change quickly. You know what I mean? When the Asians was getting hate here in the US, Stop Asian Hate came immediately. And black people ain't the ones that push against that. Like, we wasn't the ones hating on them. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, everybody else gets something. It's like being that kid that you just watch. Like, Everybody else get picked up and get taken to do something, and then we kind of left on our own. And then we're told that we're supposed to be able to wake up every day and compete. I use comedy as a way to, kind of break the ice on that, but also, like I said, when I'm doing tours, one of the worst things, man, is you talking to people about history, you talking to people about what's going on, and you can see it in their face, like they're so oblivious to it. And it's, oh, how could this ever happen? It's like, it's been happening. This ain't new, you know what I mean? Like, I'm one of those people when Terrence Crutcher got killed, that hit home for me. My daddy died the same way. So being able to see, like I know what his kids is gonna feel like, you know what I mean? I know what his sister going through. I know what his mom and daddy would have been going through. But then I watched how, even as black people, we didn't rally for Terrence Crutcher the way we did for George Floyd. George Floyd was from out of town, you know what I'm saying? So I think we were supposed to ride for him too, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, why it takes somebody from outside for us to really galvanize together? When it happened here, we just kind of like, dang, that was messed up. And it's like, that's closer to home. That should be more impactful to you. But it just tells you the amount of damage black people got. So like when I think of reparations, should black people get a whole lot of money? Yep. And when I say a whole lot of money, I need enough money to buy, I need a giraffe, I need an elephant, what else I want? I want a Mercedes-Benz that run on the same gas as Chevy because I don't want to pay premium prices. I want, what else? Yeah, I want cameras, I want clothes, I should be able to walk anywhere and get whatever I want. I should be able to discover it. If I can discover it, it's mine. That's part of my reparations. I want to just be able to walk out of the store and be like, reparations, put it on it. You know what I'm saying? And just take it. Like, that's the way things have been done here. But it's one of those things where I really want to create an experience to where white people get to live, like, just be black for a week. Go through all these eras of being black, to where it's like, you gonna get hit with a water hose, we're gonna sick dogs on you, you're gonna have to do sit-ins at restaurants, you're gonna have to eat in the alleyway, come in through the back when it's time to go to a restaurant. Like, people think about slavery being the only thing that happened to black people. And it's like, man, even after slavery, when we went through so much, being sharecroppers, like, you farm all this land and at the end of the day, it ain't even yours. You know what I mean? Or we get sent to prisons the most, and then it's, hey man, you working for $2 a week. And it's like, but you supposed to be rehabilitated. You supposed to come out better than what you went in. And so we see more people that go to prison than make it out a lot of times when you coming from these impoverished neighborhoods. We got missionaries who go all around the world to take care of underprivileged people. It's like, them people ain't underprivileged like you think. You know what I mean? Like, just being in film, right? Every time I used to see a Feed the Children commercial, I'm like, man, they put that fly on his head. Ain't no way just all of a sudden, you know what I'm saying? All of a sudden it looked that way. Like, this kid wasn't doing that yesterday. You know what I'm saying? And I know the way film work. Like, you telling them, look sad, look away. And then they play the music, and the music don't make it no better. Like, man, that's a European song that you playing in the middle of Africa. Like, that ain't it. And you got people over here that, ain't never been to the other side of town, has never even had $1,000 in a bank account. So when we think about $1,000, what can you give with $1,000 a day? Like 4 groceries, a gallon of gas, and in some places you could get your little lady friend, because the cost is like $40 is what they say. I ain't the one that made it up. That's what they said, $40. It's like 2 shots of Douce, maybe a medical marijuana gummy. Bam, $40. So with $1,000, you can't get nothing, right? But it's people who ain't never had $1,000 in their bank account, ain't never touched $500, $600. You know what I mean? And then we live in what used to be the oil capital of the world, and we got grown adults here that make $10 an hour. And who you think got to work those jobs? You know what I mean? So it's like, when you think about wealthy or lucrative careers in Oklahoma, just in Oklahoma, you don't think of black people in those positions, when really this was supposed to be a black state. Black and Native American, this is all it was supposed to be. All these black people moved here for Greenwood, and they moved here for Boldy, Redbird, Tallahassee, and they came to build a black place, right? And this history was so well hidden that even a lot of our activists didn't know about it. And you mean to tell me that as people, we don't deserve nothing? It wasn't just the torture. It wasn't just the death. It wasn't just the trauma. It was also the hiding of history. Like people like Malcolm X, for example, he's somebody who strikes me as like a researcher, right? So when Malcolm X talked about how the U.S. should give us our own territory, support us for the first 25 to 50 years, and then just let us go and let us be our own. I was listening to one of his speeches when he mentioned that the other day, and then it kind of struck me that he didn't even know about Greenwood. Like, he couldn't have known about Oklahoma supposed to be in a black state, because if he did, he would have referenced that we tried and y'all took that. Y'all stopped that. You know what I'm saying? So a researcher like him who was all about like black people having their own space to be safe, he didn't even know about Black Wall Street fully. Might have heard of Greenwood, because in his time, Greenwood would have still been popping, you know what I mean? But didn't know that as a whole, we supposed to have this, you know, or that little raggedy strip, the Panhandle. Like, ain't don't nobody live in the Panhandle, I don't think. But it's like 38 miles wide, but it's like that portion of Oklahoma ain't even Oklahoma. That used to be Texas. So, you know, slavery couldn't exist above the Mason-Dixon line back then. So Texas would have had to give up their enslaved people if they kept that portion of it. So he was like, oh, well, just give it to Indian territory so we can keep our slaves. So think about how raggedy of a person you would have to be like, okay, we can either let these humans go and be humans, or we can just give away just enough of our land to be able to keep them. And there was some three-toothed Texans that was like, you know what? We're keeping them. We're not letting them go nowhere. And they just gave that part to Indian territory. Like, and you mean to tell me that the descendants of these people, we now go to school together, we eat at restaurants together, we shop at the same gas stations, and those people are completely oblivious to like the condition black people have come up in. Like, when you think about, we watch prisoners come out of prison and we be like, oh yeah, they're institutionalized. Like, bro, he did 5 years. So if he did 5 years and you think prison changed the way he thought, it changed his chemical makeup in 5 years, then what you think 400 years then did to people? You know what I mean? And it's done so much damage after, you know what I mean? Like integration, for example. I think people being able to go to opposite sides, we should be able to do that. But forced integration wasn't, if you didn't want to ever go to a white-owned store, that should have been your prerogative. Because it ain't no law to say that white people got to shop with black folk. But there was definitely laws that made sure black people didn't have certain things, so that forced you to have to go to the white grocery store. Because if you told me that there was black grocery stores all through the north side, what need would we have to go to Walmart? But if you tear down all of our black grocery stores, we got to go to Walmart. If you tear down our hospital, we gotta go to that hospital. So like Papa Eden was talking about it the other day, and he was saying how I had never thought about this until then, but he was like, man, what if, he had asked me if I ever had any surgeries. And I was like, yeah, I had a few. So he was like, what if your surgeon was a Klansman and you didn't know it? You know what I'm saying? He was like, when you passed out and drugged up, Buddy could have did anything to you. He could mess up. They say, every surgery is not guaranteed you'll survive. And you sign these papers that say, like, if something happened to me, somebody feed my pit bull and, take care of my babies. Like, but this Klansman could have just gave you a little bit more anesthesia than you needed. And so the reason it resonated with me is I had a surgery back in like 2018, 2017, I had a hernia surgery. And I remember the doctor telling me, like, by the time I count to 10, you gonna be asleep. So I'm laying there, and then I heard him 9, 10. I'm like, I ain't sleep. Like, what Buddy on? So like, he didn't give me enough anesthesia to go to sleep. Now, I could feel the surgery, but it didn't hurt. You know what I'm saying? And I remember he was whistling, what's that white dude song? He could sing his tail out. Chris Stapleton. Tennessee Whiskey. He was whistling Tennessee Whiskey the whole time. And I remember telling him when I woke up, like, I heard you was whistling Tennessee Whiskey. So when Pops told me that, I was like, well, dang, what if I'd have been sitting there helpless? And this dude did have a negative view of black people. Or if he was just like I'm gonna do my job, but I ain't gonna go above and beyond to save them. Like, what would I have been able to do? I'm just there. Versus, at minimum, I know if I was at a black hospital, you got your Uncle Ruckuses of the world, but I'm pretty sure the black surgeon ain't gonna be like, I can't stand these kind. I want them gone. Like that don't exist. You know what I'm saying? Very often. So it's like when we go to gas stations, like we're putting this money somewhere and then it's gonna leave our community. Tulsa being the oil capital of the world, this is where Sinclair oil and gas, they got a facility here. Phillips 66 and Quick Trip. But we got 2 gas stations on the north side. Like, so this ain't stuff that happened 50, 60 years ago. Like today, we got fast food restaurants, but if you want to sit down somewhere and eat, you can't. You got to look at the zone into this area. Well, this area ain't zoned for that. You can't do that. So like even today, we can't get it. So the only way we gonna get reparations is as black people, we just got to sign off and say, okay, white Americans, y'all can have something. Y'all can't have a lot. But if we give them a little bit, I think we'll get them. Like, it's going to take a minute to get them. I don't think they're going to direct deposit them. They're going to try to make sure you got more than a Chime bank account. If you only got Chime, it's going to take you forever to get yours. Yeah, by the time you get it, it'd probably be 3-4 days after your funeral if you got Chime. But direct deposit ain't going to happen unless you got like Bank of America or something so they could take some fees. And they ain't gonna put it on the Cash App card. So those of y'all who got Cash App cards, get you a bank account because they not gonna put reparations on Cash App. They might do Venmo because Venmo is a little more like blue collar. But you ain't gonna be able to get it if you ain't got no bank account. You're gonna have to go get you a license because they ain't gonna give it to you for just ID. I don't think we're gonna be able to get that. And don't go to Europe all at once. I know everybody gonna wanna go to see the Eiffel Tower. They got one in Vegas. You need to go to Africa first and then go somewhere else. Because what you'll see black people doing the things that you never imagined doing. Like, it's black people running the banks, it's black people in the government, it's black people running the construction companies, it's black people cussing you out, it's black people doing everything in Africa. And I think that as little hood babies specifically, like black kids need to see black people doing something. So when I was growing up, I saw black NBA players, black NFL players. So it make you think like, you can go to the NBA. You know what I'm saying? So I remember my mama telling me like, baby, you 5'8". Like you ain't going to the NBA. She had me research all the NBA players that was under 5'9", and I could only find like 7. And she was like, see, like it's some 6'5" dude who sucked that's gonna get the spot before you do. But if I'd have saw black doctors, black lawyers, black business owners, like the word entrepreneur was really new to me. I was already an adult and working for a company when I started hearing about entrepreneurship. And I'm from the home of Black Wall Street, and I didn't know nothing about being an entrepreneur. You know what I mean? Or Booker T. Washington High School, I didn't know that E.W. Woods walked all the way here from Memphis, Tennessee, a 32-day walk to start a black school in Greenwood. And then by the time I got in high school, it was a white school. You know what I'm saying? Or it was Tulsa, Washington instead of Booker T. Or you look at Oklahoma City, Douglas is a school that's known for its sports and things like that. My whole life, I never knew it was named after Frederick Douglass because they always call it Oklahoma City Douglas instead of Frederick Douglass High School. You know what I'm saying? So like little things like that, man, it's too easy to erase history. As black people, I think that reading history can get boring for us. Like we need to be able to put it in pieces that we could really dissect and ingest. But at the same time, like I joke about the Cash App cards and all that stuff, but like it's real. Like you don't see too many well-to-do families that all they got is a Chime bank account. Or, you know, for us, like the only way we know to even move money is you got a checking and you got a saving. And there's so many other type of bank accounts you can get. Or I want to start a business. Well, that don't mean just go buy an LLC. Like you need to figure out what kind of business you got. You know, what are you trying to build? You know, and when you think about it, if everything that wasn't black owned had to close, how diverse are we in the business that we do? I know we're going to be able to get chicken wings, T-shirts, and get your hair did or done if we're speaking proper English. What else we going to be able to get? You get your eyebrows done. It's a lot of them estheticians. Is that how you say it? Esthetician, something like this, some kind of titian. And then what else can we get? Coffee, because we got a coffee shop. What am I missing that we got here in Tulsa? I think that's it. We don't got no black pizza joint. And black people eat pizza. Do we got a black burger joint? I don't think we even got a black owned burger joint here, do we? I don't think we do, buddy. Let me see what else. If you vegan in here and you want black vegan food, you're gonna have to know how to season like tree bark and grass. We don't sell that here nowhere, black owned really. What else we got? I think that's about it. So all I'm saying is before we get our reparations, again, we're gonna have to give white people a little bit. That's the way. I'm joking, but I'm not joking. That's the way it works. And then before we get into business, we gotta diversify our business, man. We can't all be doing the same thing. We can't all be competing, but you cannot go through life not knowing history. And if it takes a little bit of joking and playing around for you to kind of get the meat and potatoes of it, do that. But in your household, like every day, y'all should have a Black History fact. And if you wait until February, it's cold. Like, we also need to move Black History Month to like June, since we already got Juneteenth. June 1st is the anniversary of the massacre. So if we just get June, because black people like heat and we like to barbecue for occasions. Ain't been a black barbecue in Black History Month ever. So I understand Frederick Douglass was born in February, but he probably would agree Juneteenth and, Black History Month would be lit in the summer. That's all I'm saying. I would much rather be here in the summer, be outside having festivities with my people instead of being outside just like, hey brother, and then getting on in the heat. You know what I'm saying? So that's another petition we need to get started. I don't know who gonna do it. It ain't gonna be me, but we got like city council people and all that. Yeah, we need you. Yeah, and Sleepy Joe, if you gonna do something, that's something I sign off on. If you need me, come speak on it. Yeah, that's it. So that's how we get reparations. I'm Kode Ransom. This is the Kode Ransom podcast, powered by Cachet. What else was I gonna tell y'all before we got out of here? Yeah, stop eating chitlins. That's it. All right. Peace and chicken grease.
Right.
It's a whole lot of cap and gown in this town.
All right.
Yeah, so like, this is weird.
Why?
Just talking to the camera is weird.
It's the most natural thing on earth, man. Everyone's doing it. It's all the rage.
Yeah, but I don't take selfies.
Can you clap for me?
Yeah.
Perfect.
What my sound like? I'm good in the neighborhood.
You sound great. I'm actually not monitoring it, but I've never had problems with those mics. But you sound very good.
That's crazy. And I should just be looking at this one.
You can, if you feel like you want to look at this one, I would not stop you. I would not stop you.
So this part ain't gotta be long. Cause
right.
I'm gonna talk to him too. Right?
Yeah, sure. Like, look, this is your show, man. Yeah. So I want your personality to come out on this. Where's your coffee? Where's your drink?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You got you, man.
Yeah.
Look, we're gonna make you.
Yeah, make me look smart. You know what I'm saying?
What else we need in here?
And I mean to look at this like, you probably thought I did this.
Exactly like that.
Yeah.
Hold on, man. I'm tripping. Gotta format this card. I'm always tripping.
You know, I extra serious. Like, you know, I play around, I joke about stuff. So like, using like comedy and levity to kind of like make the conversation a little easier. But like the beginning that I'm gonna do is about, you know, how I be joking. Like, I done solved how we get reparations. You know what I'm saying? So like, even talking about that, and it seems like a joke, but then it all just comes back to like, black people can get reparations because the U.S. has given reparations before. And so many black people don't know that they have, you know what I mean? So people like, I mean, the cameras ain't rolling, so I'll say this again in a minute, but like, Jewish people got reparations for the Holocaust, even though that didn't even take place here. You know what I mean? The U.S. gave them, you know what I'm saying, reparations. The U.S. gave reparations to, I think it was like 80,000 Chinese people during the World War because we had concentration camps here in the U.S. and they kept Chinese people in them. And so when they let them out, they gave them, you know what I'm saying, reparations. So it's like you believe in repairing damage. But a lot of times, like, America wouldn't get reparations until they figured out how to get them some. Like, white Americans had to be able to benefit from it, otherwise they wouldn't do it. Yeah. So even after they gave them Asian people reparations, they wouldn't let them Asian people open restaurants and gas stations in white neighborhoods. So that's why we got like the hood stores and the Chinese, mom and pop Chinese places. They couldn't get a spot on the white side. So they put them on our side because they gonna have a business there, but they ain't gonna live there. So they gonna take all that money and take it out of our community, but they just trying to open the business, but the only place they can do it is around us. So they capitalize on us too. And then the U.S. is like, we don't believe in reparations. Like, bro, like, all of a sudden you don't. Like, they even gave reparations for the Tuskegee Airmen. You know what I'm saying? And then their descendants were supposed to get lifetime health care for free. Like, so I'm curious as to how many Tuskegee Airmen, like, descendants actually use those health benefits. You know what I'm saying? But when you think about it, then why did they pick black men to give syphilis to? And then purposely not treat them. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, knowing that, man, it's gonna spread, you know what I'm saying? Like, so you can't, it ain't like other things where you can be like, well, it didn't really affect, like, that would have affected a whole lot. And yeah, y'all took care of the Tuskegee Airmen, but what about all them other people? Like, if they slept with somebody not knowing they had syphilis, and they done gave it to somebody else, like, y'all didn't take care of those people though. And then those people would have gave it to somebody. And this is back in what was that, the 40s? What was it, Tuskegee Airmen?
Don't ask me.
I think it was like the 40s.
Because I did not know.
So it's like, can you imagine how many people they could have possibly infected throughout all that time? It was either 40s or the 30s. I think it was the 30s.
We gonna do this,
you know what I'm saying? So like, it's little stuff like that. But yeah, so it was 1932 when they did it. They did $10 million worth of reparations for the survivors, their widows, and their offspring. So they split $10 million. But you done gave people syphilis. You know what I'm saying? And then didn't treat them. 600 black men, 201 were a control group, and then the rest had syphilis. They gave syphilis to. And it wasn't until 1995 that they guaranteed lifetime medical services for the children and the spouses. So it's like, so from 32 to 95, like y'all weren't doing nothing. Then they gave reparations in Rosewood for their massacre, but the state of Florida gave $2.1 million in compensation to be split amongst the survivors. Only 2.1 million. But 26 people died though. Yeah, they obviously believe in it. So, if you really want to give reparations, you gotta let white girls have some.
All right.
You want me to say that type of shit?
I already got it, so whether you say it or not, it's going on there.
I don't care. Like it. I mean, that's really how it worked though. Like when you think about history, right? Like especially in the U.S., they changed the rules and they changed the way things operate so that other people can achieve the same success. So examples of that would be, as black people, like we're kept down. There's a foot on our neck anytime we try to do something. We meet resistance on everything we do. And then if you look at it, when the original colonists came over here from England, they were trying to escape, quote unquote, the same thing. So they were oppressed, they were poor, they were all these different things. So when they got here, they decided we're gonna rebel against England. And when we rebel against England, we gonna start our own country. We're gonna start our own rules. We don't wanna have to pay taxes, to England anymore. And how did they achieve it? Like they went to war with England. You know what I mean? So they went to war with England and gained their independence. But then now if you talk about something like that, it's mutiny. You know what I mean? It's anti-patriotism, and these things are punishable by prison time, life in prison in some areas. So it's like American history tells us that's the way we're supposed to do it. They didn't get the 5 civilized tribes to be civilized by just talking to them. Like you slaughtered these people, you took their land, So I was thinking about it the other day and was like, man, what if Joe Biden one day said like, y'all can have reparations? It's like, what would be the caveat to him saying that? And part of that would be like, they could also go back and say and use that 1 drop rule. So they used to say if you had 1 drop of black blood, you were black. So imagine we all get reparations and then they do blood tests on everybody. You're gonna have some white people who 2% Nigerian. That's gonna be like, y'all said 1 drop of black blood, I'm 2%. So then as black people, how we gonna feel about that? Like, how do we decide, like, is it 2%, is it 5%, is it 10%? Because especially living here in Tulsa, like you get to see, I see more white people with Native American tags than anybody. Like, you very rarely see a Native American person, but you see Cherokee tags all day. You see Creek, you see Choctaw, you see Seminole, you see Comanche. And it's like, but these are white folks. So they were able to find their way onto the roll card, find their way into getting the reparations that Native Americans were supposed to get. Even during the land run, when they came here, they teach us in school like that Oklahoma Indian Territory was empty. It's like it couldn't be empty because Trail of Tears goes from, 1831 to 1877, and then the land run happened in 1889. So in a 12-year span, you mean tell me wasn't no Native American people here? So like when the land run opened, you got tribes who have left their home and came all the way over here, and now you're saying like, your land up for grabs, bro. Like anybody can have it. And then we celebrate, we watch OU football games, and they come out on this covered wagon on horseback, like they're reenacting the land run when whites snuck over into Oklahoma early and stole land. And we got black people, we got Native American people wearing Boomer Sooner shirts and hats, and it's like, man, y'all celebrating this where it's coming out here reenacting the stealing of your land and the slaughter of your people, and you don't even know that's what it is. You know what I mean? And so for me being, you know what I'm saying, I ain't the smartest guy in the world, so it's like if I can see it, there ain't no way our decision makers, our mayor, our governor, like, ain't no way these people don't see this, you know what I mean? And then when you think about, you can give reparations to, like I said, to Jewish people for the Holocaust, and the Holocaust happened in a whole nother country. And as bad as the Holocaust was, which was horrific, You mean to tell me black people wasn't suffering something worse? And then we're expected to recover from that. We don't get therapy for what we went through. It's black people that see a police car, you can have everything right. You got your license, your insurance, your tag light work, brake lights work, but you see a cop car, you get nervous. Whereas the white boy get to just ride right by the police officer. You know what I mean? They can speed by the police officer sometimes. And it's like, they don't even bat an eye there. So like all these different traumas we got, you know, and then I was researching the other day about like some of the first laws that were passed after slavery was abolished and stuff like that. And one of the first laws that black people got prosecuted for was trespassing. So at first, it don't really seem significant, you know what I'm saying? But when you start putting the pieces together and seeing their time frame, you see stuff like black people weren't allowed to be able to read or write. So when slavery was abolished, a lot of those enslaved people couldn't read. So one of the first laws being trespassing, if there's a no trespassing sign on this plantation that you're trying to get off of now, and you cut through their yard, you cut through their field, that's trespassing. The 13th Amendment says slavery is illegal unless you commit a crime. Once you commit a crime, you can be a slave again. So it's like, we going through stuff like that. Then it's, we want you to build your own. Y'all can't be with us. Y'all can't shop with us. Y'all can come work for us, and that's it. All right. So we build Black Wall Street. We build roads.
Let me separate that for a second.
Oh shit, gangbang.
We want to, let's go ahead and like start for real.
Mm-hmm.
Can I actually have you sit over here? Because I feel like you're comfortable talking.
Oh yeah, I can talk to my dog. You know what I'm saying? That's my dog.
Stand right next to me. Sit like this.
You want to put him on camera? Cause you know he's a superstar.
I mean, I don't know if he's ready to be on camera.
Well, maybe not this conversation because he in the council. I don't want, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to put you in no bad position. You know what I'm saying? Like we'll talk about something a little more.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But like even the stuff he do, like I think me and you, we should be talking about like what it was like on the wood. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Right before COVID. You know what I'm saying? And what we saw happen since we've been here. I think that's the conversation me and you. But it's easy to talk to my dog with this, because if I was just talking to the camera, I'd be like, the white people.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's a little awkward, but so.
It's so bright.
Give me
Tony,
the
you're good with the film, right? With video? Sure. He said sure. How much better? Like you're looking at the monitor. Like, do you like this better? With this there highlight?
Yeah, the light is definitely better.
Okay. That's lame. I mean, I kind of wanted it dark and moody, but I also wanted to separate them, but I can't go. I can only go so far back.
I think the light is good.
Okay, all right, we keep the light.
But it just depends on what tone you want. What you going for?
Go grab God.
This.
Well,
Get a third opinion.
Yeah, we'll keep it like this. It's dark enough. I don't like that light. Yeah.
Balls up. Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Big dog. You know what I'm talking about? Big dog.